I was looking at my playlist for like what my reaction streams, Javier live streams, and it literally is just Evangelion and Vocaloid. I do have some tastes, that's for sure. Very specific tastes. Anyways, even though I said I've watched this entire video, I have not. I have not watched this entire video. I don't know why it says it, but Water the Roses is my favorite song of all time. It's a Gumi song by Flavor Flav, which is a group. That's my favorite artist, Jamie. If you watched the last video, look at the video that just got uploaded. It's getting uploaded Wednesday. We'll see. My favorite artist, Jamie. Anyways, I found a half an hour video essay on my favorite song. So let's get into it. Don't know where you're. Oh, you.
Hello everyone, my name is Henry Kortman. I have nothing quippy to say in the beginning. As a Zoomer, I have rarely listened to every single song in an album. There were always a couple of songs which I will not listen to, or I'll even listen to just one song in an album. Cardiac Counterpoint is one of those 5 albums I have ever listened to, or I have listened to and liked all the songs in it. Hi, Editing Kortman here. So, I vividly remember Flavor Flavy's first album being Cardiac Counterpoint, not Counterpoint, which is French for counterpoint. So I feel like I hopped dimensions, but just know that anytime I say cardiac counterpoint, I mean to refer to the actual name cardiac counterpoint.
I did not know it's
So
counterpoint.
just know that. Also, I didn't say who's in Flavor Flav, so I just wanted to get this out right now.
Jamie
Page,
very nearly
Bonnet, and Rice Deity are the 3 people who made Flavor Flav. Go check them out. Their links are in the description.
best fucking group ever.
Yeah, back to the show. The other 4 being A Real Good Person in a Real Bad Place, Hope Left Me, Peer to Peer, and CPPC. If I were to rank each album in a tier list, I would put Counterpoint around 2nd place, just below Dust Rocks but above Astrophysics. Sorry, Webcage and various artists. Of each song in Cardiac Counterpoint, one of my most favorite is the song and music video we are going to be analyzing, being Water the Roses.
Woo!
Created
Best
by the
song
hit
ever.
indie 3-piece Flavor Flav with art by Eddie, it was published to the public in January 3rd, 2025, and was made the 5th track of Flavor Flav's debut album, Cardiac Counterpoint, with each song pertaining to a certain kind of love or romantic connection, whether it be flirtatious, unrequited, cannibalistic, or robo-erotic. I will be making an assumption in this video, that assumption being that you watched it. Seriously, watch it. I'm not going to be recapping it, and I will be skipping a lot from the middle to the end to the beginning to the end to the middle over and over again, making connections where there probably were not any. But something something, death of the author, something something. The link to the music video is in the description and in the card in the top right corner. I also will not be talking about the music itself all that much. I will be talking about the lyrics, but I know nothing about music theory to make me go, holy hell, that harmonica is a symbol for divorce, because I do not know the symbolic use of a harmonica or whatever is playing right now. I will also cover every seed packet or named plant and what they might represent. However, I am not a plantologist or a chronic PVZ2 player, so if I do not know the name of the plant shown, for example these 2 in the first verse, they are dumb and stupid, and I hate them.
Oh, nigga don't hate me because I'm beautiful, nigga. Maybe if you got rid of that old yee ass haircut you got, you get some bitches on your dick.
One small thing I must add is that I am a young jellyfish. I have not been married, nor have I been in any recent relationships. Divorce is a complex topic, and is not something that I think I might ever experience for a long time. Any opinions or conclusions I arrive at are purely based on what I have seen from the music video and from what I have researched, as well as personal bias. If you think I am wrong about something, tell me in the comments and I'll leave a pinned comment with...
Can we just talk about the game that I'm watching in the background? A Civil War zombie survival game? That looks crazy.
With the corrections. Oh, by the way, if you are watching this video in the future, check the pinned comments for any corrections. Please do not assume what I say is true outright. Okay, enough wasting time. Let's talk about the phrase I love.
My two favorite things coming together. Evan Piercer. That's Hakita. That's Hakita. This is an Ultra Kill song. Wait, hold on. What song is this? Where's this from? No, just Wild Rose. A good song, but I need to listen to when this is from.
Please do not assume what I say is true outright. Okay, enough wasting time. Let's talk about the phrase I love.
I know words. I know. Me. Lord Father. God. 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 Father. There it is. I found it. I found the song. I got better. I'm getting distracted. Do not let me anywhere near Ultra Kill on any sort of stream where I'll just play that instead. But yeah, Ultra Kill, favorite game, my favorite song. Interlinked. Sorry. Through this one random video.
One of the themes hinted at both in the lyrics and in the music video is the want for one of the partners in the relationship to admit their admiration for the other. We see this inclination to express affection within the first second of the video. The first three letters of the first three flowers shown to us, Ivy, Lily of the Valley, and you, have the same letters as the abbreviation ILY, which is short for I love. It is important to note that these three flowers are toxic, both on their own and all together, implying that the connection our Yuri couple has is toxic.
I did know Lily of the Valley was toxic because of Breaking Bad and Minecraft.
I guess it can
be helped, but just a matter of when do you think she'd notice it? I never bloomed again as my roots grow. Something is riding on my head. Always close my eyes, it's like they're stuck within my head. You know the most scary thing with these reaction videos? This is not a good example that I have the Javier Live, but the main channel, Javier, I have more subs than this guy that I'm watching, which is scary to me. I don't know why. I have like 400 more subscribers than him. It's so scary in my opinion. I don't know why. Yeah, my channel has 1,227 subscribers, and well, just scary to me. I have more subs than this guy. It's just weird to me. Anyways.
Real quick, huge thank you goes to Anarchist 2. They were able to find all the flowers in the music video, which makes my analysis much easier. For the sake of simplicity, we will call the person with green hair Gumi because that was the Vocaloid used to make this song.
Oh really? You're gonna call her
this person
Gumi?
in the yellow sundress Rose because she has a rose for it.
You're gonna call her Gumi?
Also, something I want to
Really?
say is I like the start of the pan out on Gumi's face here as the intro lyrics play. It is a very
You're probably wondering how I ended
got
up in
into
this
situation type vibes, especially as the intro music plays afterwards and it zooms out to show the two holding hands. Anyways, let's look at the first half of the intro verse. We see in the intro verse of the song that divorce has been a long time coming to this couple.
That's it.
Mainly
I did not see the pictures. Oh, the kitty in the rafters. I did see that picture. I take it back. I did see the kitty in the rafters.
course with the first half of the song where Gumi treats the idea of the marriage falling apart with apathy, connecting it with the second half of the first half of the intro verse. Gumi's love is symbolized as a blooming flower, or in this case, one that
It's a possum. That was a possum. That looked like a kitty at first glance. That looked like a kitty. Am I stupid? Don't answer that. Okay, when you don't zoom in, it looks like a kitty. It's a possum.
Don't bloom are caused by the flower not being properly taken care of. Connecting it to her accursed couple, Gumi believes she's not being loved enough in the marriage. Therefore, she herself begins to lose interest. Gumi continues seeing herself as a plant as she talks about her own roots. Tangled roots can occur in plants when they are either in a very small garden or they reach the edges of their pot. Either case, the plant's roots will still want to grow, and with no other direction to go, the roots begin to move backwards, tangling the roots in on themselves and choking the plant, causing it to stunt its own growth or even die. This is called root bound, and the name of this plant condition sounds like it's from a video game. Oh hey look, it's coming out in the same year as GTA 6. Take notes, Jason. One detail I find most people do not talk about is this song's connection with poetry and writing letters. Gumi later refers to her heart eloping by prose, sonnet silent blur, 3 small words, and 8 small letters. We will talk about it more later, but this line implies that Gumi has either tried to reach out to Rose and she is not responding, or she received letters from Rose and Gumi is not responding. Once we get to the first verse, I will put more detail into this one. The last 2 lines help us begin to put into mind where all of this is taking place, in Gumi's head. So immediately from this intro verse, we get the feeling of giving up from Gumi. Her voice gets...
What the fuck was that?
The last 2 lines help us begin to put into mind where all of this is taking place, in Gumi's head. So immediately from this intro verse, we get the feeling of giving up from Gumi. Her voice gets higher and more emotional on the letters rotting on red part, but everything else her tone seems dejected. We do not know who started the divorce, or why, or what they did to try and save the marriage. It could be implied that Rose started it because Gumi felt unloved, as with the "do you think she noticed if I never bloomed again" bit. But this song is written entirely within Gumi's perspective. We don't know who Rose is. All we know is their gender and the color of their skin. Did they do nothing? Did they try everything? Who knows? Honestly, it doesn't matter either. We'll continue down this music video with the idea that both Gumi and Rose tried everything to save the marriage, but in the end, they could not. Neither side could tell the other how much they love. We see a giant poppy seed out
Why is it keep cutting off I love you?
Screen as the credits roll.
What is this like continuous joke?
Just gonna let this play. Ever since World War I, poppies have been a symbol of remembrance. This is Gumi remembering the marriage, and the butterfly on Rose could symbolize that she is long gone. We'll talk about that later. The 3 fateful flowers,
I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you,
show themselves again before a crumpled up paper with a violently splashed black ink on the side appears. I'm not a plantologist. Which one of you produces sun? Let's
Which one of you produces sun? I got that reference. It's a BBC reference. I got that reference.
Late nights alone.
The sun, the sea you through the phone. Through paths unknown, my heart aloof the rose. Hello, the water best the show. I guess love, I don't running in seconds again. I wanna be for anything to prove this bond complete. I come to see that if it's between you and me, what's wrong with anyone lost in the flower beds?
First off,
What is this video?
the first 3 lines right after the first one are describing the metaphorical future that Gumi was hoping to have with Rose. It could also be implied that the marriage was new. Prose is a form of writing with no rhythm or structure. An example of writing that is not in prose is this song, or something like, to know what's right, to know the way, to know what's good, and still go astray. Basically, if you can't put MF Doom music over it, it's probably in prose. Eloping is to run away with someone, usually with the goal to marry them. Combining it with Gumi's heart, it also implies that the marriage was spontaneous and that both sides might not have been fully ready for it. I skipped to see you through the phone because I wanted to wait to talk about it until here. Connecting it to the visuals of the music video, Gumi is trying to write a letter to Rose explaining her feelings. This is also the reason why the lyrics appear as they do. It is Gumi trying to find the words to tell Rose how she feels about the marriage, but is unable to find the correct words. However, I have a bit of a theory. Gumi is trying to connect with Rose through writing, but she is not a writer. She is a gardener. She probably is unable to properly tell her feelings to Rose because she is communicating in a medium she is not used to. Why won't Gumi just talk to Rose? I mean, she's right there. Is she stupid? On the subject of writing, I find it a nice detail that Gumi is struggling to put her thoughts into words, and at the same time, the paper of the two is torn down the bottom, signifying the separation and that the letter might not do anything at all. There's also a petunia seed packet near and a zinnia seed packet on Gumi's side. Petunias are a flower which represents deep resentment and anger. Now, there are several meanings on this, and honestly, I'll let you pick. Is it 1. Gumi is trying to put her thoughts of resentment on the letter, 2. Gumi is showing resentment, or 3. Rose is the one who shows resentment?
Gumi can do no wrong.
It's a mix of the 3, since we know no one is exactly in the right here. With the zinnia flower, it was used in the Victorian era to remember friends who have been away for a long time. It implies that Gumi also feels Rose is distant in the relationship, which is supported by the fact that we, as a viewer, do not know anything about Rose. The rest of these flowers can all die for all I care. In the next 2 shots, we can see Gumi alone and then Gumi and Rose, both lying down. Both scenes use the same drawing of Gumi holding Rose's pinky. It's a pinky promise, if you will. You know,
tough.
That. In the first shot, it's Gumi on her own thinking about her marriage with Rose, shown through because she is looking at the pinky promise.
Actually bought the Roses shirt and a
the appearance of Rose in the next
shirt
shot
as well.
is to show the divide. Paper torn in half down the middle of the paper, telling us what we've analyzed before. One small thing before we move into the pre-chorus, there is an alyssum seed packet on the bottom right corner of the video, just invisible to the first viewing. It is opposite to Rose, not connected with the paper, and close to Gumi. It symbolizes worth beyond beauty.
We get it. We know this. We know this guy likes Ultra Kill.
There are 2 other seed packets here. The one on the top left is a petunia seed packet, and the one on the top right is a poppy seed packet. We already covered these 2, but I will add that, yes, me, John Ultra specifically.
We already hear that the entire background music is just Ultra Kill music. I've already discovered this guy likes Ultra Kill.
Imply that Gumi is remembering why they split, or are currently splitting. This is especially enforced through the lyrics, where Gumi is coming to the realization that words alone will not save their marriage, or anything will save their marriage.
It's only 3 small words that I'm desperate.
Oh, now he's playing Cybergrind in the background.
And if you're always nowhere near, if the sun grew cold blue, and all that I fear, if I had your blessing, then it all would disappear.
In the first pre-chorus, we can see what the worn out plea is in air quotation once again that you cannot see. Unlike a lot of the video, the pre-choruses lack a lot of visual flair. They're also some of the quietest parts of the music video, making me believe these pre-choruses are the most down to reality and the closest we have to the least exaggerated thoughts.
Some of these people that analyze this impressive, I can never do it.
Are pertaining to a certain phrase commonly heard by couples. What they are, we'll never know. The reference to the sun being rose connects back to Gumi's flower analogy, both to herself and to the marriage flower analogy. The blessing being the sun shining down on the flowers, or in this case, Rose's confession would be enough to make their love bloom again. Let's hear the official first chorus.
But I feel so stupid 'cause you feel the same. And when we water the roses, I can trust you to stay. So here I lay 'neath the shimmering moon, just a love struck fool. What do I do but wait for you?
Later on, the word but is replaced with the word and this distinction is important. Later in the music video, Gumi begins coming to terms with divorce, which is why they later say, and I feel so stupid, instead of but I feel so stupid, because right now Gumi is expressing her frustration, still believing the marriage could be saved. I really like the shimmering moon line since it connects back to the pre-chorus, where Rose has represented as the sun that Gumi wants to be there, but
And she's
isn't.
under the
First and second verse mention the time that Gumi is singing being nighttime. The love-struck fool line also connects back to the sapling line in the first verse, once again hinting at the spontaneity of the marriage. The final line hints at the separation, that Rose isn't there anymore. The letters Gumi is writing, while she denies it herself, are going nowhere. Before we continue on with the second verse, I want to look at the visuals. First off, the tear down the middle makes it look like Gumi isn't holding Rose's hand, it looks like she's holding up a worm. And also that this is the same illustration from the beginning of the video. The motif of the paper torn down the middle isn't new to us at this point, but since this was the very first scene of the two, their relationship was part of their initial identity. Now the very core of who they are has officially been torn apart, and it will keep going downhill from here. There are 3 new flowers here. Everlasting P on Gumi's side, Kana on Rose's side, and Tulips in the middle. Everlasting P is a symbol
from
of
Infinity Train. God, this video is packed with fucking good references.
Is about. The Kana is a symbol for hope and confidence.
Wait, what was the fucking everlasting
side and tulips in the middle? Everlasting P is a symbol of everlasting love. Ironic for what this song is about. The Kana is a symbol for hope and confidence. The tulip has several meanings, but the one that I feel fits most is the symbol of rebirth. I say this is the most accurate one because, unlike Everlasting P and
yeah,
Kana,
Infinity Train reference,
behind Gumi and Rose respectively, the tulip is the only clear flower shown. Besides these stupid things, which I can't be bothered to find out what they are, both Everlasting P and Kana would be symbolically appropriate for a good relationship or marriage, but we know that this just isn't the case. Both think they can move past whatever caused them to tear apart, but in the end, only the tulip is fully shown to both. The only way through is from away from each other. The middle flower shown in this next flash of 3 flowers is changed from Lily of the Valley to Mignonette, which, unlike the other 2 flowers, isn't toxic. This changed the titular ILY to IMY, which stands for I miss you rather than I love you.
And it's not toxic.
That missing the relationship and the marriage as a whole is the right step forward rather than what Gumi wants, which is to hear.
What are you doing, you dumbass? Why would you malicious?
Y2IMY, which stands for I miss you rather than.
I'm also like, fuck, I'm somewhat fucking. I'm watching the video of the War of the Roses, but I'm also just kind of watching the Ultra Kill background, and this fucking idiot. Why would you fucking malicious face railgun just the insurrectionists? I understand if you shot the insurrectionists, there's a bunch of less of it, but just railgun, electric railgun the motherfucker. It do crazy more damage, but the malicious just does nothing. Just does only a little bit of damage. It's just the malicious base is railgun, electric, big damage to one target, malicious base, splash damage to little damage to lots of targets through splash damage, screwdriver, chip damage over time.
Thing, you know, the thing.
Late nights inert, rehearsing every word unheard. The sun is silent blur, unsure it hurts. This finger discovered in dirt, still digging for a lock return to sing the sordid verse.
I love this second verse. The second, third, fifth, and sixth lines telling us it's Gumi trying to remember a time when Rose said that thing where you say that you really like someone deeply. However, this second verse implies that Rose might have never said it at all. Going with the flower motifs, Gumi is just metaphorically digging through the dirt to find if Rose ever said it to her. It's actually really sad. Fun fact, the first ever Vocaloid song I listened to was Copycat by Volca Circus. Although I'm more of a Kasane Tero guy, Gumi was what originally got me into Vocaloid all those years ago. Anyways, about the visuals. Before we what originally
Legend.
Although I'm more of a Kasane Tero guy, but Gumi was what originally got me into Vocaloid all those years ago. Anyways, about the visuals. Before we transition to the second verse, we are briefly flashed with a crumpled piece of paper. We also got flashed with a crumpled piece of paper before the first verse, but that one is more important and we'll talk about it when we get to the final chorus and outro. The crumpled piece of paper that flashes us before the second verse, I believe, is to be Rose herself. Not the full Rose, but like verse Rose. The version of Rose that appears in the verses. This is the midpoint of the song and already Gumi is beginning
we could
to
link
let
to
go.
Evangelion how they're not the real myself. Everything is form and image. Let others identify me as me, but what am I? How like everyone has a different person inside the other people, how they perceive it. So like I think that's what he's trying to say is this is Rose in the in Gumi's eyes, but I might be wrong.
I
have to actually watch the whole video first.
herself. Not the full Rose, but like verse Rose. The version of Rose that appears in the verses. This is the midpoint of the song and already Gumi is beginning to let go of the torn pieces of Rose. It also makes sense since this entire second verse focuses on Gumi entirely, as she herself digs through memories of her relationship. In the first verse, there are specific we's and you's and me's, but in the second verse, there is no we.
Stop! Militia's facing one single target, you idiot!
There's these, the fingertips assumedly belonging to Gumi, and this Gumi, she got hands. Holy crap, look at her go. God damn. I'm down.
I'll fix you.
Thanks, coach.
Better.
Hey, whoa, hot damn, look at that. Killing the jockey. My game crashed. In this second pre-chorus,
It's only
My small words that I'm desperate on the way. Movies for a lot, mountains for a chance to protect. And the eights, Poland never shown me their grace. It's the road that push daisy and the sky's forever grey.
the first line references the phrase, I love
The fourth line.
is Gumi acknowledging that saying whatever is supposed to be said to Gumi might not actually save the marriage. Gumi is coming to realize this. The final line, kiss a rose or push daisies under skies forever grey, is Gumi beginning to acknowledge that Rose, who was previously symbolized as the sun, won't appear even if they somehow move past what caused them to separate. That's why the skies are forever grey. In Genius.com, contributor Hitori Sama said that to kiss a rose is a metaphor for a transformative love that brings light to the dark, whilst pushing daisies means to die. This means that Rose could fix the relationship by saying what Gumi wants to hear, or not saying anything and let it die. It didn't involve the skies forever grey part, but it is a good insight into what those metaphors mean.
and it feels so
Just
stupid.
because you feel the same.
And when the
Water
water
around me
roses
like a
I can
death
trust you to
wish.
stay. So here I lay 'neath the shimmering moon, just a lot stressed.
What do I do but wait for you? Marigold. Or he's gonna say PvZ reference watching. I can see it. I can see it. He's gonna say that they give you coins. I know it. He's gonna say PvZ reference.
At this point, Gumi is near the stage of giving up fully on the marriage. Despite holding Rose's hand, Gumi's expression seems to acknowledge the distance between the two, both physically and metaphorically. As stated before, the first chorus had a but this one has an and, to show that in the first chorus, Gumi was beginning to think that the marriage was hopeless, and here, she's now beginning to give up on the relationship. There isn't much to be said about the chorus that we didn't already talk about previously. Before we
Yeah, that'll be
transition
in
to the
trouble.
bridge, we have to look at the transition from the second chorus to the bridge visually, I mean. A single marigold seed packet surrounded by all the words spoken beforehand. A marigold symbolism is twofold. Its first symbolic meaning is the sun's warmth, light and joy.
Oh yeah, I can see how that's a
marigolds
reference.
also mean death and remembrance.
Oh,
This
okay,
single
that's a double.
marigold has
That's a
several
good double
meanings.
reference.
Firstly, Rose was thought of to be the sun, or Gumi's world.
The sun's warm.
Because of the marigold's double meaning, it could be interpreted as Gumi mourning the death of her idea of Rose, her son, as the words lay around her, useless to try and fix the marriage or the relationship.
Man.
Secondly, you can connect this marigold back to the skies forever gray part, connect it with marigold's second meaning to death to signify that the only way for the
Sometimes I think, like, the main thing that I'm thinking about during these live stream videos, these Javier live videos, like, am I doing enough to make this differentiate, or am I just becoming like XQC when he's reacting to a video and I'm just sitting here watching it and doing nothing? That's my main concern, is that I'm not reacting enough to it, and whenever I sit in silence, I got like a little bit of anxiety going, thinking like, oh god, say something, dickhead, stop sitting there in silence, say something, pause it, because I want to be like Pyrocynical, who like pauses every 5 seconds and turns a 20-minute video into 3 hours. But, you know, I'm even gonna sit here for a little bit longer and just twiddle up thumbs, but that's boring, so yeah, you know, I'll keep watching.
clouds to part for Gumi's own flower to grow is through the death of Gumi and Rose's relationship or marriage. Thirdly, connecting it with the crumpled pieces of paper, it could be implied Gumi is also throwing away this aspect of Rose, her sun part, alongside all of the words Gumi wanted to say to
And the
Rose.
warmth of the sun.
Fourthly, there is no fourth one. On with the bridge. We'll be dividing this in two because it's actually pretty long.
Come and surely they go. Flowers will and surely they grow. Oh, my heart feels family true. When they bloom, it won't be for you. Uh-oh, people come and quickly they grow. Oh, life in my heart will never grow. No, I guess you can't.
I guess it can't be helped, it's just a matter of when. If you just want to notice, then to take it on the chin. If I was closer, but if the love is not there, baby, please take me miles down the track.
Okay, so the visuals gave a lot of flowers, and also this is the last time you will ever see Rose.
Oh, really?
This is it, guys. It's divorcing time. Well, it has been divorcing time since the start of the music video, but this is like when they actually separate. Rose is holding Gumi's hand as they walk together. Watching this, I realized that the only time I've seen them together, like on the same page, no pun intended,
At the very
was on
start.
the very first shot of them. Even here, when they are supposed to be together, they're still not. Also, I do have one complaint about the music
They may be
video.
physically
The
together, but
artist
not
does not
mentally.
draw a couple extra frames of feet switching. It's just 2 extra frames. I don't know how the artist was paid per illustration, but I assume they were charged a flat fee per image. So I assume it was like a budgeting issue or something. I don't know, but like, come on, you don't even have to change much. Rewatching this, they're not even going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. Wait,
Oh,
No.
there you go.
you
There you go.
for deviants. I'm not even.
Their relationship isn't going anywhere.
Let's look at the flowers. On Rose's side, we have Calendula.
That was good.
Pyrethrum,
This guy's
Tulip,
good.
and Scabiosa.
He needs more. He needs more than me. Come on, bro. He needs more than my 1,200, bro. Come on, this guy's a legend. This guy makes this is such a good video. He needs more. More. I want more.
On Gumi's side, we have the Petunia, Balsam,
And Sky.
Calendula. Symbolically, I couldn't find much. One website said it represents joy and gratitude. However, Calendula is also a medicinal herb which can promote tissue growth and stop inflammation. Pyrethrum, I also had a hard time finding the symbols for this one. So I went with the Pita Daisy on the seed packet and assumed it was a daisy. I think it fits because one of the symbols that daisies represent are new beginnings. We're going to be skipping over tulips because we already defined what it was. And finally, there's Scabiosa, a flower which can symbolize sorrow or death. Altogether, it paints a pretty picture. It implies that starting anew and letting go of this relationship will be better and healthier for the pair. It's tragic to say the least. There's also this yellow butterfly. I didn't notice this before, but there are a lot of butterflies attracted to Rose. Honestly, there's a whole lot more meaning which can be interpreted with the butterflies on Rose. Here's a quick theory about them.
Moving on.
Color theory states that red is the color of both passion but also violence, since it's the same color as blood. Yellow is the color of joy but also sickness. Butterflies are often a symbol of rebirth. So with Rose leaving, it's a sign of new beginnings. She'll leave,
And then
when
Gumi
she
has a red
leaves,
one.
she'll take Gumi's joy and love, but also the toxicity and violence symbolized through the yellow and red that the relationship had. Over on Gumi's side, we know that Petunia is a symbol for anger and resentment. However, a balsam represents ardent, passionate love, and a stalkflower is representative of deep affection. I know those two basically mean the same thing, but what I'm trying to get at here is that Gumi as well as Rose are letting go and walking away from their feelings of anger and resentment towards each other, which is good, but also their love for one another, which isn't good, but is necessary for the two. I also completely forgot about the lyrics for a sec. Sorry, it gets really foggy when you experience peak. Anyways, the first two lines compare
is big.
people leaving with the death and birth of flowers, almost sounding like a cope for Gumi. The fourth line is connected back all the way to the intro verse, as Gumi realizes Rose won't notice if Gumi does or doesn't bloom. This final line is also what I'd like to think is Gumi's second lowest point. And I'll say second lowest point because firstly, she is unsure if she can move past this, but also because we know her actual lowest point is coming up. The third line is unique. It's not spare me the truth, it's don't spare me the truth, which means Gumi is demanding the truth. There's a moment of silence before the first half of the bridge and the second, and I feel as though that silence is the truth Gumi wanted. The lack of a response, the need to hear that I love you and not being heard was more than enough.
What
for
is
her
this
to
ARG
realize Gumi's
shit, bro?
relationship with Rose
Just say
is
I
done.
love.
Whilst the entire second part of the bridge is playing, the following flowers are shown in order:
ISTI
Ivy, Speedwell, Thistle,
STI
Ivy, Lily of the Valley, Lily of the Valley, Lily of the Valley,
love.
Orchis, Violet, Everlasting, Yew, Orchis, and Ulix. If you grab the first letter of each flower, we get the phrase,
I still love you.
We already know about Ivy, Lily of the Valley, Yew, and Everlasting P. Let's look at all the new plants. Speedwell represents healing, Thistle represents strength, Orchis represents fertility,
Violet represents devotion.
and Ulix represents protection. All of these new plants really muddle the ground, since some of these new plants are toxic and some are not, as well as some specific families of these flowers are toxic and others aren't. Overall, this bouquet mixed with the lyrics really emphasizes the flurry of emotions,
In
leading
the
to an
relationship?
inevitable breakdown and crying. One thing I must say before I analyze the lyrics, Gumi starts crying in the outro, chorus, and bridge. They're saying that now because it'll make sense when I analyze the
Oh,
second
that's
half
why
of
he
the
said
bridge.
Rose, because that's literally the. No, yeah, no, I get it now.
At the second half
Well,
of
that
the
comic
bridge,
piece of paper.
Gumi
No, let's go back.
now
See, look, the comic piece of paper we said looks like would be Rose in the verses is this one. Because look, that's where Rose would be when they're walking, and that's crumpled up. Yeah, okay, now I get it now.
It'll make sense when I analyze the second half of the bridge. At the second half of the bridge, Gumi wants what she said all the way back at the intro verse, which isn't that long ago, but this script is 16 pages long, so it feels like a long time
Fucking
ago.
hell.
Funnily enough, the second half of the bridge contains the most amount of analogous connections to gardening. Roots growing separate, roses, at least the
Staying
ones symbolizing
dead.
the marriage between Gumi and Rose, planting new seeds, and penning, I think that's a word, tomorrow's flower bed. I have a
Penning.
couple of things to say about them. Firstly, it's
Pen.
Gumi preparing to move on from Rose. That's the general of what Gumi is trying to say. Secondly, paired with the buildup of the music and the bouquet and the lack of poetry reference, Gumi is no longer trying to connect with her Rose. Gumi is thinking about gardening as a way to cope with the immediate pain of losing her partner. No longer is she looking for those three small words. Rose is fully gone now, and Gumi has to face it no matter what.
Good for me. And I feel so stupid because you feel the same. Let me see what I think this interprets. I think this is the other side of the page of the one that Rose is on. Flipped it over. New beginnings, right? But it's still crumpled and still has some of the, like, you know, issues and stains from the last relationship. And that's what I think. Let's see what the expert says. People come and surely they go. Flowers will and surely they grow. But so stare up the truth. When I bloom, it won't be for you. Oh, people come and quickly they go. Oh, something I guess.
So,
Beautiful song.
as stated before, not much can be said anymore about the chorus that hasn't been said in the previous two choruses, but the weight of the words and the emotions could truly be felt the most here when accompanied with the crumpled piece of paper and crying Gumi, still holding Kerworm.
Stop with the
We
worm.
then see this piece of paper with black ink violently splayed on the side. It honestly looks like a blood splatter, which could signify the death of Gumi's relationship, but this piece of paper was seen all the way at the back before the first verse was shown. Gumi was trying to write a letter to Rose, but Gumi ultimately decided not to. The words are scattered on the ground, there's no point anymore. The fact that this paper was shown at the
Man, I was
beginning
dead
that
wrong.
this was always the case. Gumi was just in denial. Poor Gumi. Don't
Poor
cry,
Gumi.
girl. It's okay. It's okay. I said stop crying. The outro was simply a repeat of the bridge, but without Rose this time, and Gumi is still crying.
There's Rin.
Gumi saying so sure of the truth instead of don't spare me the truth is sad because up until the first half of the bridge, Gumi was hoping the relationship could be fixed despite seeming dejected. She just needed Rose's words, her affirmations to keep the relationship going, to bloom again. But Gumi knows now that won't happen. Despite all this, the last two lines are actually hopeful. No matter how much Gumi loved Rose, Gumi in the very last line of the song is willing to try and live without her. This doesn't just apply to marriage.
Oh, wait, look.
Try and live
Soon
without
comes the spring. When spring comes. Another day, nothing much to say. When the sun comes up and it's all the same, you play. That's another song in Counterpoint, Cardiac Counterpoint. Well, the reprises, but yeah, don't worry about that.
This doesn't just apply to marriage, but in any romantic relationship in general. Generally, relationships require some form of manual initiation. It's rare for relationships to start with love at first sight or something cheesy like that. And that initiation, turning it into the first building block of a foundation of a relationship you want with your partner, is expected. Once the love is established, both people are needed to keep the relationship afloat. The best way to figure out if the person you love loves you back, the only way to know is to not maintain it. If the person does reach out to you, then you know they love you. But if they don't, then they don't.
Damn.
Now, did these three talented musicians put this much thought into Water the Roses?
Yes.
Maybe? My first thought is, of course no. Like, I don't know how much thought they put into the lyrics. I mean, I know it's a lot, but like, surely not as much as what I thought of, right? Like, I don't want to hear anything from you three. The moment I know these unnamed flowers are also significant to the music video, I'm gonna faint. I can't. I just can't. My Cortman brain is too small for this. You three are human, right? Right? You added some of this just because it's cool, right? Also, I can't prove it, but I know damn well they rushed out Queen of Venus. Who the hell puts regular audio of your camping trip on a mixtape?
It's a good song. I like that.
Sorry, it's just...
Jamie's
This-
always been like that. It was in... There was something like that in, no, I can't even think of the song. I Wish I Could Fall, a Gumi song by Jamie. Good song. And that's all I could think of at the top of my head, but I bet you there are another song.
video took way too long to make, mainly because I got a job and graduated animation school within that time frame. They were not kidding when they said the course would be intense. Listen to Flavorfully, people. Their channel's in the description and in the top right corner.
Yeah, Flavorfully
The
speak.
script went through 3 rewrites. The first one was just too long and unnecessarily detailed. The second one connected the song back to the 7 stages of grief, but some stages fit out of order and some stages just aren't there, period. I think at the end of the music video, Gumi just starts the upward turn, but we don't get to see her fully recover from the divorce. It's only implied she'll try to move on. Something I also want to say is that I don't think I'll be analyzing any other Flavorfully's work. My reasons are twofold. One, I don't want to leech off these beautiful artists. I think each person
I'm
should
leeching off of
come to
you.
their own conclusions with their music. Something, death of the author, something.
Well, I'm
Just
stupid.
that I liked Water the Roses so much that I had to make a music video about it. It was just that good. 2. This video was supposed to be made and uploaded in and around the same time I asked them if I could make this video in the first place, and because it's been a long time, my music tastes have changed. That doesn't mean I don't listen to Flavor Foley anymore. I still do. It's not that I don't listen to Flavor Foley as much in comparison to other music artists I listened to recently, such as Wisp, Below Ground, Loser 64, Cry Out Loud.
Yeah, I just go cycle between Jamie, Monochrome, Raichi, Ray, and then I just go back in a circle and circle and circle and circle. I just keep circling around those 4 artists until like
These past few months have not been kind to me.
I'm about
Also, I have a
about to start my
GoFundMe.
second cycle.
My job doesn't pay me much.
No, my
and
third
I could
cycle.
really do with a change of scenery from my current home. If you want to support me, I'll leave a link in the description, or you can find it in my about page. Anyways, remember everyone, everybody wants to build, but nobody wants to do maintenance. Kurt Vonnegut. The name's Korbman, Henry Korbman, and I love you all. I'll see you when I do. By the way, I'm not killing myself. Of each song in Cardiac shit.
What you even say wrong there? That's all like my outtakes.
Lock in. We are locked the fuck in. We see this inclination to express affection within the first second of the video. The first 3 letters of the first 3 flowers shown to us are Ivy, Lily of the Valley, and you. Fuck me in the ass. Okay, locked in. We see in the intro verse of the song that divorce had been a long time coming to this couple, mainly reinforced with the first half of the song.
The
where
first
Billy
half of the
treats
first half of the
idea
song.
of the marriage falling apart with apathy, connecting it with the second motherfucker. Why did I formatted it in the worst possible way possible.
Just like I do.
Oh god, okay. I'm locked in.
So I can do it with my ultra
See, I'm
scripts.
kind of the goat. Although I refer to myself as a jellyfish, I'm kind of the goat, so I can do this. I can do this. I can read what I write. I can read. I can write. You can't. You can't read. You can't write. If you would, you'd be a YouTuber.
I am. I'm more subs than you, dickhead.
Tangling the roots in a fuck me. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill the person who wrote this. Ever since World War I, poppies have been fuck off, you cunt. First off, sax. Shit, holy shit, my throat is burning. Like it's like actually burning. I reread the script beforehand to make sure that it was like it grammatically flowed easily together. First off, it doesn't even grammatically flow easily together. But like after I finished like test reading it, like my throat is absolutely burning. I shouldn't do this in one take, but like it's better to record it all now, so I just have to focus on the editing part rather than working on this in like slowly. I want to get this video out as soon as possible. I just need to talk about this music video. Fucking love it. It's like second only to Lost Kitten.
When did this video come out? 6 months ago. Why the fuck does War of the Roses have Butcher Vanities? I don't know. But seriously, go subscribe to this motherfucker. He should not have less subs than me. That is wrong. That is wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is very wrong. It's very wrong for him to have less subs than me. That is just not how the world should work. Me, my annoying dickhead self, should not have more subs than this beautiful, talented person. I just come on stream and bitch and moan. Okay, I need to write down some shorts and clips I did before I forget. Then we're gonna watch the Evangelion thing since Evangelion. Hopefully we have time. Okay, we actually don't have time for that. We don't have time. We do not have time for that. Especially with my constant pausing, we do not have time for that. We might just watch. I should watch this one. Let's just watch these 3. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Favorite Vocaloid, Nero, because Nero and Jamie, my favorite artist. And then what do I need? I don't know how to. And then for the short, I'm going to go. My alarm's going off to tell me to start streaming, but it's Monday. It's a weekday. It's a public holiday. Okay. What's this one? Shadow!
I'm very angry, and it's because this little idiot right here ruined my life. Like, I can't believe it.
She saved
Her
my night.
voice is stuck in my head. Those songs. She's appearing in my dreams. I have no idea how. This little. And you know what?
Oh,
I love her.
I need my teleporter to get here.
She's the very
Comes in
reason
July.
I got into Vocaloid in the first place.
Same.
So why not I tell you a little story about love, betrayal, and baka baka baka. We begin in the early years of the Great Depression. Vocaloid was making its big debut on the Japanese internet. It's a vocal synthesis program that allows you to use voice banks to create vocal lyrics for music. You have the Queen, Miku, the Kagamines, and everyone else that people care less about for some reason.
Gumi.
It's magical because
Wait,
you
was that
can
Miki?
everyone else
Miki?
that people care less
Hey, there
about
she
for
is.
some reason.
Human.
It's magical because you can
Oh, no,
literally
'cause
be
human,
a
I'm the
mute
Eminem
person
gun.
who have never spoken a word in life, but still create beautiful songs that people will love. For a price. The Vocaloid programs and the voice banks can cost a pretty penny. It's like gas prices nowadays. Hey, not everyone can afford that.
This
So,
video was
you
made
need
pre-war,
to
by
enter
the way, so we just
world
even know how bad it's
of the
gonna get.
alternatives. There are a bunch of free options that producers have used in the past.
Utao.
Notably, Utao. If Vocaloid is to Minecraft, then Utao is to those weird Minecraft Flash bootlegs that you would play in the computer lab. You use Utao because you don't have money for the real deal.
Or you just wanna
But
use Tato.
That's okay, because with Utao, you can make better Vocaloids with blackjack and hookers.
Blackjack
Making your
and
own voice
hookers.
bank for Utao is relatively easy. Anyone can make one with one's own voice. I mean, the Japanese can, the TF2 characters can be.
Okay, sir.
I can be one too, you know.
The
Then
fuck?
you can draw a little idiot to be the avatar, and bam, you have Miku's next rival.
You've heard of Miku. Get ready for
Okay, sir.
911. Wait, he's really that short?
I never said anything about
That's a
Utoid being
real
made for.
cow. I thought he was fucking with me. No fucking shot. What the fuck? Oh my god, what the fuck is this? Why do you exist? Why do you exist? Allison. Voice range C4, okay. That's good. Why? You may not create a gender bend of yourself. Damn, okay. All the way banning. Being attacked by perverts. He's trained to yell him 9/11 when confronted. Wait, hold on, I gotta read this whole thing. Allison or 9/11 has the ability to attract the supernatural and deflect it, nor giving him the neurotic personality. People with the strange personality seem to be immune to his magnet effect. Beginning attacked by perverts has trained him to yell 9/11 when confronted, giving him his nickname. He dislikes his real name and also doesn't seem to mind being known as an emergency number because he's cheerful. Yeah, I'm sure that's why. I'm sure that's, yeah, okay. Okay. Why is that new now? Who made that? Who made that? Who fucking made this? Who made you? Why? Any songs? Can we get a quick listen? Yeah, sure. Moto Yoshika. No, actually, I want just him, please. Yes, Stardust. That sounds like a good one. Just like the video. I want to hear his voice. You know, like traditional Utao robotic. You know, what'd you expect from an Utao?
Good intentions or not. Meet the VIP.
Wait, what was that like? A robot trash? No, I thought it'd be something cool, like every layer of hell. Nah, lame.
Never said anything about Utoids being made for good intentions or not. Meet the VIP board of Nichan. Trolling, chaos, civil unrest, creativity.
Teto.
Dingus. All the ingredients were placed on a table to create an absolute masterpiece. You see, sometime before April Fool's 2008, the users on the VIP board wanted to create a joke character to compete with Miku to troll the internet. First, we need to draft a design.
Ooh, this design. I kind of like how we're going with this. I don't know. She looks too much like a military man. I don't know. Now she just looks like Hong Mei-ling. Ooh, this design has some promise. It just almost. Oh my goodness, she's perfect.
Teto.
She even has fingernails. I like that.
Great. It
Fingernails,
matches
I like
Kei's
that.
official art style to a T. Now let's get funky and develop our DeviantArt OC. Gender, Chimera. She's going to be a demon person who looks like a human. Age, 31. But she has the body of a 15-year-old to trick those weirdos. Favorite food?
Baguettes. Yeah.
Miku likes leek, and vegetables are a mortal enemy. So making her favorite food, the French carbohydrates, will appeal to the actual.
That's regular
otaku
bread. Get that out of here.
Birthday,
April 1st. April 1st, 2008.
And the nerds will tattoo her birthday on her arm. Take that, Miku. And after the people
Teto's 2 months older than me.
finished her design, oh yeah,
Teto came out and then I was born 2 months later.
all she needs now is a voice.
Oh my goodness.
Ladies and gentlemen, Teto Kasane.
Kasane
April
Teto.
Fool's 2008 came and the world saw a new Vocaloid. But the VIPers of Nichan saw mission completed.
Hey dude, have you seen this new Vocaloid character? She's like so totally epic. Her song is so good.
Song of Ed Robo is such a good song.
That person, but she's fake. Get pwned. What?
Everyone had a good laugh, and most left it at that. However,
Clearly
some
not,
song
because
producers took a
she's the
look at
second most popular
Utao
one.
and discovered an interesting voice well tailored for songs. And you want to know what they did in response?
Oh wait, that's the cover up for one of Glitch's songs. I know it's nah.
When I was a kid,
I like Glitch.
YouTube had these little things called annotations. They were colored boxes that can be filled with text to fix a little mistake on the video, or a little explanation for a confusing scene. Nowadays, it sounds a little inconvenient, but they were a thing where you really needed to be there to understand how useful they were. However, when most people of the era think about annotations, one video comes to mind. Released April 1st, 2010. Ochame Kino was a song by Lamaze P where Teto shakes her body from side to side, giving the message of letting go of your worries.
Hold on, can we go look at the original annotate? Oh, I don't have the plugin on this browser. I have it on my main browser that brings back all archive annotations. I'm sure if we go back to that. Just absolutely fucking. This is the part you turn off annotations.
And having fun. In Japanese, the song is referred to as something else, and you might already know the word for it. Fukireta. When you're this happy without your arms, I mean, of course you're probably doing something right. It's a
the
fun
armless.
song, albeit a little dated, and it would likely stay that way if it weren't for the curse of the mad. From its release on Nico Nico Doga, people found the song so intriguing that they would create musical remixes with sources and sounds from other unrelated media, like Mario, Toho Project, and that idiot Double Cherry Man.
Never seen that in my
I
life.
don't even know at this point. What is this? It's the Mario by the Double Cherries.
You know your song is legendary when people have made real-life versions
Holy
of it.
shit.
But when the song reached the Western world, people just began to spam annotations with random memes of the era, and people just kept adding onto it to the point where you can't even see the music video anymore. However, annotations are talked about in the past tense nowadays, and that's because the annotations as we know it
That's the
are
one we just watched.
dead. On January 15th, 2019,
It was only 2019 when they got rid of
annotations were
it?
officially killed off, and
It
with
was
that,
way
the
earlier
memory
than
of
that.
Fukrieta's chaos died alongside. Holy crap, we're saved! Fukireta was awesome. But now imagine if our little Teto gremlin had friends.
Darren.
Go to your printer and check the ink color, and you will find... Oh, no. Triple Baka is an song. Released July 13th,
It's a good song, though. I do
it's
love it.
one of the oldest Teto songs around, and a really simple one at that. It's theorized that it follows the downward spiral of three friends getting stressed and disillusioned with life's struggles. From a song that sounds like this. But it starts to become more beautiful toward the end as Miku figures out that, yeah, this world is gray, nasty, it will call you a baka baka baka, but the joy you give to others can restore the world's colors. Like the entire premise of that one Paper Mario game. The
Color
lyrics are
Splash.
a bit melancholy, especially when the transcription for the song looks like that. At its heart, it's a Miku song. Teto only makes her voice heard during the backup parts and when she screams. I don't think it's an unpopular opinion to say that this song radiates 2000s energy.
I do love
the
this song.
optimistic instrumentals and the bright colors seal the deal for me. I guess those aspects sticking out in people's minds are the reason why they mistake these two as Vocaloids. Akita Neru is the yellow one.
Just a
She
fanboy.
has no lines in the song, but does the little beep, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. She's a fanloid, which is kind of like a Vocaloid, but not
forgetting
really,
it right.
but also not really like an Utao. It's weird. But for Teto,
It's a fan-made character
this
that doesn't have
song
its own
might be
voice
the
playing. Okay,
greatest
there you go.
reason as to why she's so loved. I mean, she's charming in this song. One of the biggest questions Teto gets is she a Vocaloid? I mean, come on. She looks like one, she sounds like one, she's as stupid as one. The Nichan trolls will always get the last laugh, but I can't blame them.
It'll happen one
They
day.
want Teto to be happy with her two new besties. Come on, we all have that friend who's a mentally ill cosplayer and the one who's addicted to their smartphone. I guess it's possible nowadays that Akita Neru watches those Family Guy Subway Surfers clips or whatever's popular on TikTok nowadays.
It'll
In the
happen one
game
day.
of
She'll get her own
life,
Vocaloid.
You will be called a baka baka baka.
We've had, come on, Teto's gotten like 3. What am I talking about? She has an Utao, she has a Sympathy, she has a voice speak. She's on 3 different voice specs. Come on, it'll happen. It'll happen. She's on Telku, she's on Renoid as well. 5. She's on 5 different voice bank platforms. The other 2 people don't really fucking remember that well. People kind of forget that she has those 2. I didn't find that out until I looked at it. But look. Renoid. Look, Renoid. It's a free software. You don't need to download anything. If you want to fuck around with Teto, you can just go to a website, go to Renoid, and then go here, and then switch it to Teto. Boom, Teto. Hey, Grand Bram. Okay. What's the other one? I can never remember how to spell it. I did spell it right. Please, only have 30 subs. Am I gonna keep whining about it? Yeah, just look at the main channel. Where's the doggy? Yeah, here, doggy. No, 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 no. Mm. Whip audio went, okay. Where is it? What am I doing? Yeah, look, she has a Tokyo. Is that really the only song? Only on Nika Nika Dogo as well. It's just her talking. Just her talking. Hold on. Dude, on Terra's official website. Here it is. Where's this Terra's website? This is not Terra's website. It'll be on Twitter. I'm getting sidetracked and lost. Where the hell is it? True music profile. No. Here it is. It's, oh, that's right. Sanitator.jp. Retail voice speak. And it's Sympathy 2 design. No, 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 no. There's gonna be like slash retail. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's go. Ah, what? Where is it? I know it exists. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen Hotel Key with like on the official website with my own two eyes. I'll find it. Just give me a minute. There's a hotel. Chronology. Chronology. Translate the page. It was like 2018 when it came out. This translation's bad. I'll purchase Demon Megamix. I'm gonna find it. I remember on the official site. What? I know it exists. I've seen it with my own two eyes. It's somewhere. I give up. But it exists somewhere. She has a talkie. She was announced that she was using a talkie. Voice banks. Wait, why don't I just come down here? Here, look, talk. Ah, yeah, see. Oh, they removed it. Holy shit, they removed her talkie. Oh my god. What is wrong with you? Wait, hold on. Why did I just get rid of that bit? No, it's gone. Man, they removed it. No, there goes the whole... Imbecile. They removed it. A whole piece of Tedo is just gone. Oh. I have a feeling I might accidentally download it at some point, so I'll have a look at my downloads, see if I actually have it. What were we talking about?
I'm very angry.
Well, we're talking about her voice banks.
Akita Neru is the yellow one. She has no lines in the song, but does the little nowadays that ruled the world. Your smile on your face, then I suppose that's all that really matters in life. Tedo having stupid friends is the best thing anyone can ask for. But now imagine if she ruled the world. Tedo Territory is a song that I adore, and it's mostly because of the source material. Oh no. My channel is called Suwako, and that's because my favorite of the entire Toho cast is Suwako Moria. I can't really tell you why I love her so much.
Is that why you did that
but
cosplay?
What I can say is that her theme song is fantastic. Keto 9 Destiny is the national anthem of the Moria crowd, and I'm pleased to say that it's a song. I just like seeing her dance around like a short little idiot. Now, what does the frog dingus have to do with the cherry dingus?
Teto.
Hold on a second. Oh my goodness, they're beautiful.
Teto Territory
And
uses the
Kasane
same
Ted.
instrumentals, and nobody cared. It's basically Teto's theme song, talking about her character traits and her plan to destroy the Vocaloid Monopoly Complex. I genuinely never thought that I would see the day where two of my favorite characters would cross over in a song before I can barely remember. But that's the magic of early Teto songs. Even after all of these years, you can still find cool stuff in them. As the years go on, Vocaloid and Wu-Tao learn to coexist together in harmony, even with Teto making an appearance in a Miku concert and in Project Diva.
Teto being in Project Diva is crazy.
A big deal in the Vocaloid scene. But as time went on, the fandom kinda got stale. Nothing bad happened, just people began to move on from making songs as new brain rot came to take its place. As for Teto herself, she had a couple revisions to her voice bank, but nothing too extraordinary.
I told you.
It's a bit sad because one of her
I think I
only
spent like
desires
10 minutes
is
trying
to
to
be
find.
as cool as Miku in the gang, but she will forever be known as an Wu-Tao, which might as well be a slur to her.
Maybe why not?
Are her cocaine, so it's surprising to see that she managed to
I didn't realize
survive
it was
so
expensive.
long without much change. Let's take a look at the
Fucking bird, stop fucking unfull screening it.
official YouTube channel for Teto. It's just a dumping ground of fan works, covers, and random Animal Crossing videos. What's special is that in the year 2023, it was to be the 15th anniversary of the birth of a demon. Any smart person will give their child a special gift for such a milestone.
A
Right?
synth fee. Hey, Fortnite. I wish I was a Vocaloid fan at this point. But I wasn't. It took me until like very late 2024 to become a Vocaloid fan. So impressive that she's come so far. Beautiful.
Teto had always wanted to be a Vocaloid, but she got something better. Synthesizer V. Synth V is a program that is similar to Vocaloid, but has different mechanics and tweaks that make it sound more realistic. Take for example with Fukireta.
いつでも会えるビューティーに Take with me 忘れられないから僕の大事なメモリーどら焼き
That, mixed with her new Grand Slam design, made the Queen have a resurgence in the past year. The Miku stands are crying, the Kagamina fans are lying, but Teto has a machine gun. She was originally a throwaway joke by the toughest madman in
get
society.
Fortnite.
No one thought she would make it this far, but through sheer silliness and tenacity, she made the impossible slightly more possible. And that's fantastic.
And then she got a voice
A
speak
long
and then a
time
synth
ago,
V2.
I used to not care about Vocaloid. I thought it was stupid and bad and evil and a little too robotic. Like, why would you use Miku to sing for you when you have your own voice? But thanks to a couple of videos and events, my life changed for the better thanks to my mind finally opening up. Like taking that first huff of fake heroin. I decided to listen to the 3 songs I mentioned earlier, and I realized how much I missed out on.
Oh my goodness, guys, you won't believe it. It's finally here. No way!
All jokes aside, getting into Teto is a worthwhile endeavor as she was my gateway drug to the world of Vocaloid.
Same.
You know those MMD Vocaloid videos? I remember seeing them as a kid, and I never understood who these characters were. It's weird how life works. One day they're my weird childhood fever dream obsessions, and nowadays they're my weird musical obsession that no one knows about. And you know what? I'm all for it. Thank you, Teto. That's part of the disgusting truth about Teto. She's a gremlin, but also a plush, a dingus, a multilingual queen, and she's the path to enlightenment. On her official YouTube channel, the description states that she is glad to have met so many friends from around the world, and I'm happy to say that I'm glad to have met her
I
after
can't wait
all
for
this
July
time.
31st when
And
my Teto
you
plush
never
gets
know,
here.
maybe it's your turn too. Gas prices, am I right?
Nah, Teto is just no. Wait, patience. Teto. Such a good. Teto good. Love Teto. You know, I might save them the narrow one. We've been watching a lot of Vocaloid videos, so I need to watch the Evangelion one.
Asuka Langley Soryu is objectively.
Hold on. Alright, context. Asuka's my favorite character. There's 2 Asukas. There's Asuka Langley Soryu and Asuka Shikanami Langley. There's 2 Asukas. And both of them come together to one whole to make it make the best character ever. Good character, like Asuka.
Popular character, and with good reason. Asuka's grit, fearlessness, and outspoken personality gave her a standout
She's got
role
so much
among
depth.
her fellow pilots, especially when contrasted with Shinji Ikari's more passive disposition. Despite her popularity, however, Asuka was subjected to the biggest retcon among Evangelion's main protagonists, a decision that split her into 2 different characters. This controversial move essentially replaced Asuka Langley Soryu with an imposter, leading many to wonder what Hideaki Anno intended all along. Hello Funkers, Tony Funk here, and today we're going to explore this controversy and uncover the real reasons Anno replaced Asuka Langley Soryu with the Shikanami variant, and in the process understand his feelings about the 2 Asukas he created. So welcome Funkers to a tale of 2 Asukas. It was during Anaheim's 1996 Anime Expo when Hideaki Anno publicly revealed that his favorite Evangelion character was Asuka, coyly adding that he found her cute. After hearing from a fan that most Americans
She's
favored
14.
Misato, Anno retorted, I'm surprised. In Japan, the overwhelming favorite is Rei. They can't handle strong women such as Misato and Asuka. Now perhaps this was true in 1996, but 24 years later, the tide shifted dramatically. Between March 27th and April 29th, 2020, Japanese public broadcasting channel, NHK, conducted an Evangelion popularity
Imagine.
and aired the
Imagine a
results
news
that
agency in
following May.
Australia did something like this, but no, they would never do that. Fucking Sunrise would never do anything close to this because Sunrise is boring. Japan's so much more interesting because it's just full of nerds.
Unsurprisingly, Asuka topped the polls and was crowned as EVA's most popular character by the network. What some may have overlooked, however, is that NHK did not specify which Asuka won, a pedantic distinction that was going to matter a lot
Shikanami?
more than anyone would expect. At the time of NHK's poll,
what's
Asuka
wrong?
had already been split into two distinct characters, with her name changed from Asuka Langley Soryu to Asuka
Aw.
Shikanami Langley, having occurred
I miss
characters.
the fucking scene where Masato just kind of
With
appears
her
behind the door
Name
when she
changed from
closes it.
Asuka Langley Soryu
And when she opens it again, Masato's just kind of there.
to Asuka Shikanami Langley, having occurred nearly 12 years prior following the release of the feature film, You Cannot Advance. In addition to Asuka's name change, her appearance and personality were altered with her hair
Went
color
from brown
changed
to-
from red to brown, and her hatred of dolls replaced with a transition object
just like
relationship to
Evangelion,
them
bro.
instead. More on that later. Despite these changes, Asuka's deviation from her original counterpart was only marginally greater than Rei Ayanami's during the second film of the Rebuild series. This prompted fans to question
Oh, is
the
that your friend,
significance of Asuka's
Fortnite?
name change. During a promotional interview for the Evangelion 2.0 Complete Records collection, Anno said the following: "Because I changed the sete relating to the EVA pilots in order to provide
Sete is like
consistency in
the
accordance with
last-
that, I
no
thought it
middle
was
name.
best to change the name. I also thought that the
No,
change
Sete-
in name of a
never
main
mind.
character would enable viewers
I
from
think
the
he's gonna
previous
explain
work
it.
to receive the message. This time is different, a new feeling." And though Anno referenced changing the character's setes, a Japanese term that refers to a character's relation to their environment and story,
Ah, there we
the
go.
third film of the series had departed so much from the original source material that every character's sete had naturally changed. This meant that by 2020, participants of
My
NHK's poll
friend.
who were familiar with the rebuilds viewed Asuka's dual iterations in a similar vein to all the other rewritten characters. Of course, everything changed with Rise Upon a Time. In this film, the differences between the two Asukas grew considerably, and in the process, revealed Anno's more substantive intentions with the character's changes. But before we talk about that, we
Oh,
need to
so
talk
your Fortnite's fanboy friend? Oh, yeah, good to know.
about how Asuka Shikanami Langley first came to be. Asuka's return to the big screen became almost inevitable following the end of Evangelion's
I need to
critical
rewatch the
acclaim.
rebuilds. I just finished
film's
rewatching the
box
original
office
series.
success not
I just
only
haven't watched the
brought
last two episodes 'cause I'm
prestige to
lazy,
Gainax
but
and Anno, but cemented
I need to rewatch the
Evangelion
rebuilds.
as a household name. Naturally, Anno felt inclined to
Need to
continue
do
his
that, but
legacy
they're on
and
two
waited
separate
for the right
platforms.
moment to rebuild
For some reason, the original series is on Netflix and the rebuilds are on Prime. Yeah, that's real funny, isn't it?
Evangelion. The genesis of the Rebuild series traces its roots back to 2001, a mere 4 years after the release of The End of Evangelion. In its original form, the subsequent installment of the Evangelion franchise was supposed to be a self-contained reboot of the series akin to Gundam G. According to Anno, his ambitions at the time were to turn Evangelion into a universal classic by renewing interest in the series with additional storylines.
That's kind of what's happening with the new series, ain't it? You'd say? I'd say that's what's happening with the new series, right? Right? You know what I mean? You know, the original series. The new series. You know, the new series is coming out at some point in the future.
During an interview for the Evangelion 1.0 Complete Records collection, Anno commented, "The main thing was that I was aiming to make EVA into a Gundam or a classic. One of the ideas was to create a new series under the title of Evangelion as Part 2. My ideal was to create G Evangelion." Anno's ambitions,
How dare
however,
I know
were met
things.
with apprehension, with the majority
How
of
dare I talk?
the Evangelion title of
But this is kind of weird. You guys turning into fucking Pyrocynicals community. Shut up and play the video! But like, calling Evangelion 2 wouldn't really make sense because, you know, everyone's dead in the original series.
Evangelion as Part 2. My ideal was to create G Evangelion.
Everyone.
Ano's ambitions,
Everyone on
however,
Earth is
were met with
dead.
apprehension, with the majority of his Gainax would-be collaborators ruling out their involvement.
Except for
Despite
Asuka and
this,
Shinji, but-
Ano remained steadfast, and in 2005, established Hara Incorporated after nearly 4 years of personal investments. Hara's creation not only allowed Ano to work on G Evangelion, but it did so with impunity. With this newfound creative freedom, Ano revised his G Evangelion vision, and as early as 2007, described a similar series to the one that became the rebuild of Evangelion, with him stating, "I felt that the
Wasn't
first
there
and
like
second..."
at some point a live action Evangelion that was like pitched or something at some point? Wasn't that gonna happen? Oh, okay, good. Wasn't that in the works at some point? It never came to be. Dude, the first rebuild hasn't even came out. Death and Rebirth. Yeah, I guess it's kind of good that the live action never happened. I'm kind of happy that didn't happen. That's just AI slot. Yeah, I'm kind of glad it happened.
Second films should be a compilation plus more, and only the last film should have a slightly different story. Though
That didn't
Ono
happen.
eventually departed from his original comments, making the series 4 films instead of 3, and altering the plot more substantially, his idea remained relatively the same. This means that the Rebuild series was not only created for frivolous reasons, but that Ano's vision included a diverging narrative from the very beginning. At the time of Ano's comments, however, the second film was not yet in production, and Asuka Langley Sori's future was still in the air. You see, though Hara had written the script for You Cannot Advance at the time of Ano's comments, its production had been indefinitely delayed. According to Ano, he and his staff began to experience burnout after working on the 2 films consecutively. This led Ano
Makes
to make an
sense.
executive decision and halt all production for the second film. This delay, however, gave
Is he
Ano
wrong there,
plenty of
Fortnite?
time to look over the script, and let's just say he started to have second thoughts about it.
Full
On our
screen, guys, need to remind me to full
we had
screen.
planned to begin work on 2.0 without any pause or interruption once 1.0 was finished. However, I couldn't live up to it. After the 1.0 premiere, I decided to look again at the content of the second part, starting from 0. From that point forward then, Ano began to rework everything, and even characters, of the original script. This means that You Cannot Advance became the first film to deviate from Ano's original G Evangelion vision, and as a result, deviate significantly from the original series. But if this is the case, what caused Ano to U-turn on his plans
I wish
for
I
the
could watch
series
movies and shows
rewrite the second
on
film?
stream.
Well, the short
But no,
answer
that's
is Mari
illegal.
Makanami. But there's a little bit more to it than that.
Mari.
Film production, whether it be live action or animation, is typically divided into 5 to 7 phases. Pre-production, being the second phase, consists of the framework, including guidelines such as scripts, storyboards, and settings by which the production crew can work within. Because Ano planned to recap the original series for the first 2 rebuild films, Hara was able to reach the pre-production stage for both films at the same time.
Okay.
Though the latter stages of You Cannot Advance lagged behind the first film, its storyboards, test footage, and script were already finished. This meant that by the time the first film was completed, Ano already had test footage for You Cannot Advance, and in an attempt
And
to
that was
stir
sure at
hype
the
for the
end of the-
sequel, decided to
Yeah.
release some of it in the form of an episode preview during the film's premiere. According to Ano, the preview received a quote-unquote big reaction during the premiere, surprising him in
Mari.
the process. One clip in particular, however, caused the biggest reaction during the preview, and as a result, prompted Ano to reconsider
It was Mari,
his
wasn't
old
it?
script.
Yeah, Mari.
Though Mari Makanami's face was on screen for a total of 1 second, the uproar her appearance caused was noticeable. At the time, nobody knew who Mari was, but perhaps because her appearance followed a theatrical recap of a series that at the time was 10 years old, the novelty of a new character was exciting. Whatever triggered this excitement was irrelevant. Mari was popular, and Ano needed more of her in his script, considering that she was barely in it. There was only one problem. The script was finished, and there wasn't any
Go.
more room for Mari. Exhausted from the previous film and faced with a daunting script revision, Ano bought himself time and delayed the film. This decision,
do
however,
prefer when
objectively
things are
killed his
delayed.
original vision and allowed him to rework Mari's brief appearance and turn it into, well, more screen time? Regardless of what Mari's
Doesn't
new
make
role
sense, but
was, her
I'd rather
expansion
wait
came at
and
the
wait for
cost
something
of the
really good
original
rather
plot,
than
more specifically, Asuka's
be
story
shit.
beats. But
And
don't
now-
take
now.
it from me. Ano remarked, because I would surely place emphasis upon
I'm
Asuka,
patient.
I didn't intend to seriously deal with Mari in 2.0. However, there was so much anticipation for Mari among the viewers that I felt I had to respond to that. This modification didn't just truncate Asuka's role in the film, however. It changed everything about the rebuilds moving forward. Though You Cannot Advance was already supposed to have differences from the original series, the most notable one being Toji's replacement with Asuka during the Unit 3 test. The
Yeah.
film was supposed to play out much like the original series did up until that point. In fact, according to Ano, the original script included character nuances, such as Asuka's discord with her mother, Asuka's idolization of Kaji, and her immediate friendship with Hikari. With Mari's newfound role in the picture, these
So many
nuances
new
and
viewers on
plot
JB
points
Live.
had to be set aside and reevaluated in order to keep an engaging pace. The biggest question that remained was how this would affect the series moving forward.
He just
In
says
an
all
attempt to
account.
answer this question, Ano and several writers held a 3-day retreat to plan out to plan out their new vision for the Rebuild series. It was during this meeting when the most significant changes were made to both the plot and the characters, the bulk of which changed the trajectory of Asuka's role and characterization. As a result, Draft 16.2 was approved, and Asuka Shikanami Langley was born. This means that Asuka's new name and sete were the result of Ano's attempts to salvage the character after having to cut
Javi, you're
elements of her
good.
backstory and characteristics in the new script. Instead of exploring these cut elements in the subsequent film, Ano opted to scrap Asuka's old history and focus on a completely new version of the character so as to not crowd the following films with the exposition everyone was already familiar with. In summation, Asuka Shikanami Langley's creation was an attempt to keep an Asuka-like character in the Rebuild series without having to rehash the complex backstory that defined her original counterpart. But when You Cannot Advance was released, the implications of this new version of Asuka weren't well known. Though Asuka's name and hair changed,
Asuka.
so had many other aspects from
She
the
went
original
from
series,
Oranga
including the
to
overall plot,
brunette.
as well as several character personalities. Even the following film, You Cannot Redo, failed to expand on Asuka's seemingly innocuous changes. Because of these factors, the repercussions of these changes didn't fully manifest for another 12 years, and in the interim, to many fans, Asuka was still Asuka. With the release of Thrice Upon a Time, however, all doubts regarding Asuka Shikanami Langley's distinctiveness went away, and the film finally distinguished her as her own separate character. So there you have it. Unlike the other
Hey, I don't
characters
care, I
from
got
the
2 more
original
views.
series that were retconned, Asuka was instead replaced.
No, no good. More view for me.
Ergo, case closed. Ergo, this should be the end of the video, right? No? Well, while this explains why the Soryu version had to be scrapped, it doesn't explain Ano's intentions with the changes he made. In order to explain that, we have to rewind and talk about the revelations from the end of the Rebuild series that made Shikanami's backstory so controversial.
Asuka's such a tough character. Should be looking at something like that later this late night.
Of course, everything changed with Thrice Upon a Time. In this film,
I
the
assume so.
differences between the two Asukas grew considerably, and in the process, revealed Ano's more substantive intentions with the character's changes. The final film of the Rebuild series premiered on March 8th, 2021.
That's a
and
crazy
received
span of time for like. Was it the first one came out in 2008 and the last one came out 2020? I don't know, for 4 movies, 4 animated movies, 13 years. Not bad. That's just still feels like a long time. As it is. Someone could have watched the first movie in preschool and then watched the last one in year 12, which is crazy. Hey guys, maybe you could just hit the one, the white button that used to be red, the red one, you know, the red one, the one that says subscribe. That'd be great.
resoundingly positive reviews. It was also the
I didn't
second
finish reading the
highest
manga as
grossing
well.
Japanese
That's
film
it.
that
That's at the
year,
school
and
library.
the highest grossing Evangelion film ever made. Despite its
Really?
praise and financial success, however, audiences struggled with the film's rapid introduction of lore and underexplored plot elements.
Yeah, it's a little
Award-winning
bit.
journalist and film critic Richard Whittaker described the continuity in the film as stripped down and impossibly convoluted. A
Yeah, that's the
criticism
word,
that
convoluted.
perfectly
little
described
convoluted.
audiences' opinions of Asuka Shikanami Langley's newly introduced backstory. You see, following the climax of the film, a series of flashbacks were used to wrap up multiple characters' story arcs, as well as to reveal previously withheld information regarding their origins and motivations. Though this device
do
was
like how
mostly used to
Quora
great
used to
effect,
connect
given the
everything.
resolutions it provided for several character
Oh my
conflicts
god,
within the
Fortnite, stop
Rebuild
copying
series,
me,
it
bruh.
only partly fulfilled this function with Asuka Shikanami Langley, who from now
This guy's made this guy has 3 channels now. 3 YouTube accounts. One's called the Big Gamer Guy, one's called Big Gamer Guy Extra, and one's called Big Gamer Guy Live. Bro, okay, what's the next one gonna be? Clips? What's the next one after that gonna be? Works? What's the next one after that gonna be? Plays? What's the next one after that gonna be? Classic?
on
Yeah,
will
sure.
simply refer to as Shikanami. While the flashback was effective in explaining the existence of another Asuka within Unit 13, as well as giving context for her comfort doll's existence, it created an unnecessarily divergent history to accomplish these objectives. The lack of build-up regarding Shikanami's backstory then made the revelations from the flashback feel jarring and unearned. And though Shikanami's non-Lilin origins were teased in the preceding film, the revelation that she was a clone felt even more arbitrary than if she was revealed to be an angel instead. But where the scene fails from a narrative perspective, it succeeds in 2 major ways. For starters, it redeems Anno and his staff for cutting all of the Asuka personality-defining moments in You Cannot Advance, by replacing them with new ones. And though the changes themselves might not have been so great, they more importantly recontextualize and even accentuate the character-driven differences between Soryu and Shikanami. This implies that the intention of creating a new backstory for Shikanami during Thrice Upon a Time was never to serve
Yeah, I
the
don't know,
plot
maybe
of
the new series
film,
Asuka
but
would I prefer, I don't know.
rather draw attention to
We'll
the
never know.
fundamental differences between her and Soryu during You Cannot Advance. What's even more fascinating than these differences, however, is the thought process behind them and the implications they create regarding Anno's view of the original Asuka. Now, before I get into the implications, I have to break down the differences themselves. Starting with Shikanami's first appearance in You Cannot Advance, we saw that she was openly hostile toward Shinji from the get-go, as opposed to Soryu. Soryu, on the other hand, started off indifferent towards him before developing a competitive attitude after learning about his high sync rate during his first fight. Similarly, Soryu's attitudes towards Rei were significantly more friendly, with her even offering to be her friend. Shikanami instead called Rei the commander's
Oh yeah, I can read
pet
off this.
during their very first interaction.
Send it to me on
In
Discord.
retrospect, this initial difference was less indicative of a change in Asuka's characterization, and more so an indication of her altered past. Because Shikanami grew up in an environment where her survival depended on
Oh, hey, I just
outperforming,
noticed
is
something.
indicative of a change in Asuka's characterization, and more so an indication of her altered
Come on,
past.
quick, quick.
Because
Right there. That's the monkey. That's the little monkey
Shikanami
plushie that Asuka's stepmother gave her. And that she ripped apart in the flashback of episode 21. It was Asuka's mental breakdown episode, wasn't it? I think.
grew up in an environment where her survival depended on outperforming her other clones, she was more predisposed to treat her fellow pilots as rivals instead of colleagues. We also saw how Shikanami's past shaped her relationship with her job. Her criticisms regarding Rei and Shinji being products of nepotism supported the idea that she considered piloting an EVA a privilege as opposed to an obligation, a sentiment that was lacking with Soryu, who instead viewed her job as her primary opportunity to obtain validation. Shikanami's differing past, however, didn't account for all of the perceived differences between her and Soryu's personalities. The omission of the friendship with Hikari, though later substituted with Kensuke, shaped a fundamental truth about Shikanami that, as we'll later see, was the opposite of Soryu's. This relationship was important in establishing Soryu's ability to form healthy relationships with people of her own age. Since Hikari was not a pilot and therefore not perceived as a rival, Soryu was given the opportunity to obtain validation outside of her utility as a pilot. The significance of Hikari's involvement in the original series, then, was to demonstrate that Soryu's emotional fragility came from her association between piloting her EVA and her own self-worth. In the Rebuild series, Hikari and Shikanami's relationship was teased when Hikari offered to eat lunch with her, only for Shikanami to leave in a fit of jealousy after seeing Shinji offer Rei a meal. The fact that Shikanami was the one to reject Hikari's friendship in order to sulk by herself highlighted Shikanami's self-reliance. And though we know the Asuka-Hikari friendship had to be cut for reasons pertaining to Mari's extended role, its absence added additional evidence for one of the most fundamental differences between Shikanami.
I would like to see an extended cut of like all the Rebuild movies, adding like all those little, like, I know I've talked about how like, in my last, I think it was the very like last JB live stream at the very last video, how like we should get like a Evangelion 2.5, which like bridges the gap between the 14 fucking year gap between 2.0 and 3.0, because that would make sense, right? We've already got like a couple minutes scene from what that would be, and we've gotten teasers from behind, and we'd also like see an extended cut, see all the stuff that got cut from, all the stuff that would be cut, that would be still canon cut from 2.0, like the these two fuckers, those two fuckers right there, yeah, and other stuff, the stuff that was made room for Mari
and Soryu. The first half of You Cannot Advance focused on establishing relationships between characters, with the concept of shared meals creating the medium for Rei and Shinji to develop a close bond, and later for Gendo and Shinji to connect for the very first time. Though present with Shikanami, this motif was juxtaposed with her efforts to remain alone, creating a power struggle between her desire for intimacy against her internalized disregard for relationships. The first depiction of Shikanami's aversion towards relationships
as a person with hospitality, this scene freaks me the fuck out, bro. Oscar, careful, bro. You were flinging a knife. There's a knife there. And you could cut yourself. You could have fucking burnt yourself. Look how close she is to this smoldering, scalding fucking hot pot. She could have burned her stomach. Oscar, gotta be careful, mate.
Of Shikanami's aversion towards relationships was seen when she conversed with her emotional support doll, affirming to herself, "You can only count on yourself, Asuka." This first glimpse into her psyche suggested that though Shikanami kept to herself, she still needed to develop a coping strategy in order to tolerate her loneliness. Later in the film, during her class's field trip to the aquarium, she was shown keeping to herself and scoffing at her classmates' excitement. We then saw her become visibly jealous of Shinji and Rei's interaction before distracting herself with her handheld gaming console. This scene not only conveyed Shikanami's proclivity for solitude, but it also reinforced the fact that her self-imposed isolation was contingent on having a comfort item in order to cope with said isolation. This meant that Shikanami's handheld console was actually her comfort doll's socially acceptable surrogate whenever she found herself in public. Another notable instance of Shikanami's attempt to grapple with her conflicting feelings was shown following her fight against the Eighth Angel, when she lamented her own inability to defeat it without Shinji or Rei's help, questioning the notion of always being by herself. Soryu, on the other hand, lacked the predisposition to isolate herself, and instead acted as Shinji's extroverted foil. At least, initially. But the reason I bring up these unique qualities regarding Shikanami's fears of intimacy isn't so much to highlight their inherent differences with Soryu's personality traits, but rather to highlight a narrative element that is completely absent in Soryu's character arc, if we can even call it that. Though Shikanami was shown to reject the possibility of establishing relationships with others, whether it was by affirming her own self-reliance with her comfort doll or by avoiding her feelings of jealousy through self-isolation, she was still able to self-correct and even admit to Misato that she was wrong to disparage human relationships. Shikanami's self-awareness about needing to reassess her own values was even explicitly stated.
That's why Shikanami and Soryu should be seen. Well, they are two characters, and I admit they are two characters, but they should also be seen as progressional. You can see that over the two series, as the original and rebuilds, you can see that they're expanding over two characters. You can see that they're expanding, which I'll get to in Uno Momento. I'll talk more about it later.
I've always liked being alone. I never needed close friends.
Yeah, as I said, like, the finality will come to this, and I'll even sneak in the 30th anniversary episode right in there. Well, you know, it looks not canon. I can sneak it in and make it look canon. But yeah. They are two separate characters, but you can see the development from the original series into rebuilds as one progressive line.
There's never been anyone who sees me for who I really am. As long as I get top scores, I can deal with eating alone at Nerve. Though recently, I've been thinking that it's nice to be around others. This admission, then, established the fact that unlike Soryu, Shikanami was able to complete her own character arc by demonstrating a high degree of emotional intelligence. Though Shikanami's conversation with Misato marked the completion of her character arc, it wasn't the only action that demonstrated her high emotional intelligence. Leading up to this conversation, Shikanami demonstrated a high level of psychological acceptance when she decided to let Rei and Shinji have their dinner, despite the repercussions her decision would have had for her romantic ambitions. You see, after Shikanami received her invitation to Rei's dinner, as well as confirmed her
would never have done
suspicions
that.
regarding Rei's feelings towards Shinji in the aftermath, she was given an opportunity to undermine Rei's plans. Since Unit 3 didn't require a specific pilot, Shikanami could have rejected Misato's request, and as a result, offloaded the responsibility to either Rei or Shinji. This move would have caused Rei's dinner to be cancelled and would have allowed Shikanami to cook for Shinji afterwards, given their shared living quarters. What happened instead was that Shikanami accepted Misato's request almost immediately and without protest, implying that she had already accepted the possibility that Rei was a better potential partner for Shinji due to their perceived closeness. And though Shikanami later claimed that her reason for having accepted Misato's offer was to pilot again, given that her Unit 2 was previously decommissioned, her subsequent confession about enjoying others' company indicated that she had felt conflicted between keeping up her appearance of being a loner and embracing human connections. We can say that this final confession indicated that though Shikanami would have rather wanted to be with Shinji,
I see that part of me in Oscar as well, much as I do
she
Shinji.
respected Rei and Shinji's relationship enough to stay out
That's
of
why I
it.
love Evangelion
Now,
so much,
whether or
because I
not
see
Soryu
myself
would have
in
done
it.
the same in that situation is irrelevant, because the importance
Which is interesting, because that's the opposite part of what Honor, the creator of Evangelion, hates the parts of Evangelion that he sees himself in, but I love Evangelion because I see myself in it so much.
this plot thread was to highlight Shikanami's self-awareness and thus complete her own character arc with her own maturity. One of the elements used to highlight Shikanami's change of heart was her doll, which functioned as both a narrative device to disclose her personal beliefs regarding others, but also as a symbol of her own vulnerability. After all, the doll created the grounds for Shikanami's soliloquy regarding her apprehension of other people. But perhaps the most important function of her doll was to turn Shikanami into Soryu's exact opposite. Though Soryu may have had a disdain for dolls while Shikanami had a reliance on one, the major difference Shikanami's doll created was that it inverted Soryu's hangups regarding vulnerability. You see, while Soryu sought out friendships but feared vulnerability, as evidenced by her inability to share her feelings with Shinji, Shikanami sought out vulnerability by using her doll as a transitional object, but at the same time feared friendship and proximity from others. But hold on a sec, transitional object? What exactly is a transitional object?
Yeah,
And did Shikanami really use one as a surrogate for human intimacy? Well, I guess we gotta talk about that too. Coined by psychoanalyst and pediatrician Donald Woods Winnicott, transitional objects are items used to ease emotional distress when a caretaker or loved one is not available, though they typically consist of toys.
You know Evangelion, bro? It's like the biggest anime. Yeah, you go to Japan, you'll see fucking Evangelion everywhere. Evangelion, watch it. It's on Netflix. Netflix, 26 episodes, one movie for the original series, and then the rebuilds are 4 movies. Watch it. Watch it. Watch fucking Evangelion. What is Evangelion? Psh, fucking watch it. Non-transitional objects. Transitional objects. That's mine. I have a transitional object and I never got rid of it. I was born. Don't have Netflix? Do you have Prime?
Blankets or picture books, they can be any object given that they have been imbued with sentimental value by their user. These objects can accomplish emotional regulation in several ways, with the namesake of the term referring to the object's ability to help a young child transition from full reliance on their primary parental figure to limited independence, with the
Right, then watch
object
the rebuilds.
representing a midpoint between the former
You can watch the
and the
rebuilds.
latter. In his 1964 book, The Child, the Family, and the Outside,
Probably not the best to watch the rebuilds first rather than the original series, but you know, if you don't have Netflix, then yeah, just watch the rebuilds. But yeah, probably not the best to watch the rebuilds first, but you know, it'll work because they're both their own self-contained stories. But like, you know, Neon Genesis, the original series, is probably better to watch first.
World, Winnicott described this phenomenon by stating, "It is common, however, for an infant to become specifically attached to some object which soon acquires a name," with Winnicott describing the process as, "When the mother or some other person on whom the infant is dependent is absent, there is no immediate change, owing to the fact that the infant has an internal version of the mother which remains alive for a certain length of time. This internal version of the mother then..."
Oh, I'm just gonna pause for a second because me throwing blankie at my computer, like kind of made it like not sit right.
Becomes the transitional object, and as a result, has the capacity to provide comfort and vulnerability to the child. Though it's implied Shikinami didn't have a father, her being one of several clones of course, this is still evidence when in Thrice Upon a Time, Shikinami's conversation with her doll revealed a past relationship with her mother prior to her disappearance. And whether or not this individual was even her biological mother is irrelevant, given that Shikinami herself associated her as the present half of her incomplete nuclear family. This then suggested that her doll was a transitional object from the relationship she had with her mother, and thus represents her internalized version of her mother. What's interesting about transitional objects is that they can remain well into adulthood if the child lacked the adequate amount of time to transition their sense of security from their comfort object to themselves. According to psychoanalyst Dr. Roberta Sato, if this transition is traumatic because of illness, absence, or some other incapacity of the mother,
I don't
the
know
need
why
for
I
a
don't
transitional
transition, but
object
I just keep
remains
mine
into
around.
adulthood. This explains how Shikinami was able to create a transitional object to represent her mother's care, but was never able to outgrow her doll due to not having had an appropriate amount of care in the form of two present parents. This was demonstrated when Shikinami enviously watched Shinji comforted first by Gendo before being passed on to Yui. The scene was purposeful in not only highlighting Shikinami's lack of a complete nuclear family, but singling out the importance of a second parent by demonstrating Gendo's inability to placate Shinji by himself. Similarly, the scene also drew a parallel between Shikinami and Shinji by demonstrating that their mother's absence resulted in the continuous use of a transitional object that represented their parents, with Shinji's connection to Gendo being his digital audio tape player. Unlike Shinji, however, whose transitional object relationship was more impersonal, Shikinami spoke to hers about
Moved and unplugged my headset. Hold on. There we go.
personal, Shikinami spoke to hers about personal matters. What this could imply is that she had either been on speaking terms with her mother, or she was at the very least someone she felt she could have been vulnerable with, considering that transitional objects are representations of their child's parents. This is why Shikinami's doll reveals itself to be Kensuke, a character who was described by Yuko Miyamura as her father figure. This would mean that Shikinami's vulnerability was originally transferred from her mother to her transitional object before returning to another parental figure. The significance of this nuance was that Shikinami's doll was just as much a transitional object as it was an outlet for her practice of vulnerability. This distinction demonstrated a further disconnect from Soryu and even Shinji by indicating that, unlike them, Shikinami was aware of her desire to be vulnerable. By confessing to her transitional object that she was better off being alone, she was disclosing her most intimate insecurities to a surrogate other, akin to an imaginary friend. The privacy revolving this confession indicated that Shikinami felt vulnerable when communicating her true feelings. Eventually, Shikinami transitioned from disclosing her private feelings from her doll to a real person when she called Misato, with her admitting that Misato was the first person she had ever confessed to. The fact that this admission resulted from Shikinami's own volition, with her having initiated the phone call, further supports the idea that, unlike Soryu, Shikinami desired vulnerability from the very beginning. What this suggests is that Shikinami's aversion to others most likely originated from an impersonal environment, where Shikinami's proficiency as a pilot was the only metric that mattered when it came to others' opinions of her, let alone her assumed survival. This environment would have undoubtedly rendered meaningful relationships counterintuitive, given the fact that everyone knew Shikinami was replaceable, not to mention the fact that she and her variants were raised to compete against each other in order to stay alive. This lifestyle, then, would have consisted of a continuous string of farewells, had Shikinami decided to make friends. This is why, during Shikinami's flashback sequence, she stated that she had to be alone, because otherwise her life would have been too painful. Soryu, on the other hand, was depicted as gregarious, lighthearted, and exhibitionist prior to her depressive episode near the end of the original series. We soon learned, however, that Soryu's behavior mostly stemmed from insecurity with her jealousy towards Rei, Shinji, and to a lesser extent Misato, stemming from her mother's insanity-induced neglect. Soryu's belief that she was never good enough for her mother,
trying not to sit here in silence and actually like try and make the video a bit more
while
interesting.
at the same time avoiding rejection. This meant that Soryu was willing to accept praise and attention from others as long as they interacted with the confident mask she wore instead of her true vulnerable self. Evidence for this claim can be found in episode 22, during Soryu's shower breakdown, where she admitted that above everyone else, she hated herself the most. The significance of this revelation is that at no point in Soryu's character arc was she ever able to express her vulnerabilities regarding her self-image. Her stay at Hikari's house then further confirmed that in the throes of her depression, she would have rather dissociated from her feelings by playing video games than talk about her vulnerabilities with her best friend. The closest we ever saw Soryu being vulnerable was during Instrumentality, meaning that in the entire Neon Genesis Evangelion and End of Evangelion continuity, she was never able to overcome her fears of intimacy, at least voluntarily. Though similar observations can be made about Shinji and perhaps other supporting
That's why the rebuilds need to be tailored as a continuous and not just two different separate series. Which is I'm curious of how the new series is going to enter into this.
From seemingly confident and sociable to lethargic and dissociated, her core beliefs and needs remain the same. In other words, the more Soryu's mask withered, the better the glimpse we got of her true self. And though Soryu's confidence returned prior to her battle against the mass-produced divas, her ensuing last stand didn't denote any changes to her characterization. After all, her confidence only returned when she realized that the object of her unrequited validation existed within Unit 2. But this isn't to say Soryu never grew, however, but rather that her growth was too subtle and ambiguous to properly complete her character arc. This was evidenced in the final End of Evangelion scene, when Soryu responded to Shinji's attempt to strangle her by caressing his face. Sure, this final gesture demonstrated a level of empathy that Soryu did not have prior to Instrumentality, but it was still too vague to say anything else regarding her fears of vulnerability. The way the film ended immediately after suggests that this was by design, and that the conclusion of Soryu's story arc was left up to interpretation. This means that if Soryu's story arc ever reached a resolution, it would have happened off-screen, making hers the only story arc out of the three main pilots to remain unresolved. Perhaps at the time, this ending was sufficient for Anno, given that its ambiguity encouraged discussion and allowed viewers to interpret Soryu's future as they saw fit. But things didn't stay that way forever. You see, Soryu's last appearance wasn't actually in the End of Evangelion, but instead in Thrice Upon a Time when she appeared on the beach during the additional impact. Though brief, her appearance corresponded with her and Shinji's final farewell, during which Shinji thanked her for liking him before confessing that he liked her too. Though this scene mainly depicted Shinji's closure, with him initiating his reconciliation, it didn't mean the scene neglected Soryu's resolution as a character. Though Soryu is revisited in the exact same spot she was during the End of Evangelion, her ripped-up plug suit indicated she had aged between these two appearances. She didn't just age, however. Whether she dreamt about Shikanami's story, or attempted to survive in the world that was left over from the End of Evangelion, or even stayed comatose for an undisclosed period of time, Soryu changed. Her surprise at not only reawakening, but seeing Shinji in the exact same place we saw them, indicated that Soryu had experienced something in between her last two appearances. And though we'll never know what transpired, what's certain is that her visible embarrassment following Shinji's confession implied that unlike her past self, this Soryu was done wearing masks. Though Hideaki Anno eventually concluded
what I think is that the 30th episode, you know, the 30th anniversary, 30th anniversary, right? Evangelion 30th anniversary episode, I think that is what happened. I think they, some sort of like instrumentality shit, like brought the two Oscars together as they reflected. They brought the two Oscars together for them to reflect some sort of instrumentality, which then this kind of combination, how they realize how Oscar's realization would kind of lean perfectly into the end of even the end of 4.0's Oscars.
He had to wait until the final film to do so meant he had to make her redemption feel earned in the meantime. This was accomplished through Shikinami, who experienced her own growth before finally becoming Soryu again as Evangelion's realities merged into one. This is why Soryu didn't have to tell Shinji
that merging together is what I think 30th anniversary is.
she liked them back to complete her story arc, because she already did as Shikinami. Though the Rebuild series will likely live in infamy, it's impossible to deny it changed the way we think about Evangelion. Despite its origins as an ego-filled cash grab, the series developed a flavor of its own, and even attempted to course-correct the issues left over from the original series.
And I cannot wait for the new series.
More successful with some than others, there's no question Anno fought
I think it still should. I think it should have stayed and with 4.0, but
Soryu's incomplete story arc may have not been the initial impetus for either the creation of the Rebuild series nor Shikinami, but it did shape the changes Anno eventually made to her spiritual successor's characterization. That doesn't mean Anno abandoned Soryu by making Shikinami either, but instead rebuilt her.
Oh, it's like the rebuilds. Oh, they said the name of the movie in the movie.
Because the other
not yet. Later. Alright, let's quickly. You know, we're gonna go over time. I don't care. I'm gonna quickly read Fortnite stories. Doesn't have to fucking wait anymore. A beautiful Discord mod Fortnite has written us a beautiful story. I don't know what it is. He's just been begging me for the past million Javier Live episodes, so I'll read it. So we're gonna read it now. And I'm gonna make it into a Javier Live video because I don't care. If Discord will load, I might have to read on my phone. Okay, fine, I'll read on my phone. Oh no, finally. Took you long enough. Fortnite. Oh, what am I thinking? Is there connection issues? Oh, I'm streaming. The doors, all chapters. How long is this going to be? No, why would you open it there? Oh, fine. Holy, might not be able to read this all. I don't think I have time because I have early start tomorrow. I'm so sorry for tonight, but when will the next Dario live stream be? Oh shit, it won't be till like next month. I can make the podcast episode on it. You want me to do that? Because next Monday I'm gonna do a podcast. Do you want to make the podcast episode on your story? I'll read it and then analyze it. Yeah, okay. We'll do the podcast. We'll make the podcast episode. Because actually, I realized an hour before I started streaming that I realized outside my desk doing some homework. Now, before I started this stream, I was like, oh shit. This is the last Monday of the month. This is supposed to be a podcast. This is supposed to be a podcast. Shit. But no, next Monday, podcast. Got it. I'll write that down straight. Actually, you know what? So I can prove to you that I won't forget. I'll write it down. Now, where's my list of podcasts? Podcasts. Fortnite story. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And then hold on, let me just write down my clip ideas. What videos did we watch? I can't remember what we watched. I know. Shh, don't tell. Hopefully she's not listening, but I've got my mother a book light. Don't tell her. Don't. Hopefully she doesn't watch this. I doubt she will, but she might. But she's actually Twitch sub, so I don't know. I never know when she's like, I never know if she'd be watching or not. And then what was the second one I thought I'd do? Letters, voice banks. I think that's what I wanted to do for that. Oh no. No, I wanted to do something different. Don't question it. And then this one was the 30th Evangelion. Okay. Okay, I'll go now. I'm done. All right. So yeah, make sure to subscribe, follow if you're watching on Twitch, join the Discord server, link is in the description below, and go subscribe to my other channel, Jevio Gaming, the main channel, please. That's where I'm about to go live. In 8 hours. Fuck. No, 9 hours. Oh, I'm only gonna get 8 hours of sleep. All right. So yeah, I gotta go do some work, but I will look at your present. I will look what you're getting your mum for night. All right. So yeah.